Welcome, my 189 subscribers, fans of Pro Wrestling Noah, who are open minded and don't bury everything outside their company, and to people who like lengthy championship reigns with zero defenses. Welcome to my review of Pro Wrestling Noah Grand Ship 2022 in Nagoya. Let's begin. So the first match is between Manabu Soya and Taishi Ozawa. So Manabu Soya is the big dude from Congo. He's not booked very strongly, he hits the pins, but he's a fun wrestler to watch. He also could be booked stronger against weaker opponents, and that's very evident in this match. While Taishi Ozawa, this is the first time I've seen him wrestle. He debuted like very recently, I think, on the 15th. But I like his size, he's well built, not much going on in the face department, but dude has a future as a heavyweight. He manages to hold his own and is booked fairly strongly against like a mid-card guy, considering we're this early on in his career. So I have no problem with Taishi Ozawa. But what I do have a problem with is the booking of Manabu Soya. No matter how big his opponent is, he's bigger and he shouldn't be, how do I say this? He shouldn't be wrestling his opponents competitively. He should dominate them. Like the dude is built like a truck. He's bigger than Masa Kitamiya. And he went head to head with Michael Elgin. So I don't understand why they shouldn't just let him wrestle his size. Soya should just be like throwing people around. He should like go for power moves right away, especially if this is a young lion he's facing. You can't have your monster of a faction like struggle this much against a newbie like Ozawa. Yeah, like have Ozawa have these like moments of like maybe like 30 seconds of like going to toe with Soya or even like getting the upper hand. But this match should have been like 2 minutes shorter and he should have like finished with a power move instead of a fucking double leg crab. Doesn't suit his size, it doesn't suit the style. Just let him be a power wrestler and his matches will be so much better. Just look at the matches he had with the other big dudes. Let him wrestle his size and dominate other people, especially young lions, and especially people who are like smaller than him, by height or by girth. So yeah, like I said, the match ends with a double leg crab for the submission win for Soya. For spots of the match, there are none. This is more like a filler match, if any. They could have done better, especially Soya. So yeah, start clicking off haters. Or like fucking cultists. Okay, so the next match is between Peros versus the Young Lions. I think this match is better than the first. One, because the Young Lions were pretty successful to start. They kick Wrong Guy's ass, and this is very nice. Wrong Guy isn't really high in the card, so why have him do anything? Why not just have him be beaten by the Young Lions, which was exactly what happened here. The Young Lions dominate until Wrong Guy gets the tag. They have to cheat in order to like get a tag to Eita. When it was Eita who cheated to help Wrong Guy, it worked. But it doesn't the other way around. Eita's the stronger member of the team. So yeah, nice to see that he dominated the Young Lions, like 1v2. And then he got the pin in the end after a facial. So yeah, again, no spots of the match, but this was booked as it should be. You managed to get the Young Lions over against someone who isn't very high on the card. And you have like this high on the card guy from another company dominate your Young Lions. And yeah, the Young Lions work harder than everyone else, of course, like as usual. Great performance turned in by young Yasutaka Yano and Kai Fujimura. So yeah, again, TV undercard match. Or instead, they should have opened the show. And after this is Funky Express with Mohamed Yone and Akitoshi Saito against Yoshiki Inamura and Masa Kitamiya. Okay, so the last two matches really had their effect on this one. It was hard to pay attention for this because it was so slow. I think the fourth match should have been placed here instead. But this just makes me miss Michael Elgin. Even if he's dumb for like stealing something that he could have easily bought, it's undeniable how he contributed to this company's tag team division. because he worked better with Kitamiya. They actually did tag team moves. They actually looked like a tag team. And I'm not feeling these two gel yet, but individually they're really good, especially Inamura. I think he should have been more dominant in the match, actually. I think Akitoshi Saito, who's like immobile and old, should not have had that much offense against Inamura. And as for Yone, I don't think he should be eating the pins. He's still a capable wrestler that, if asked to wrestle 1v1 against anybody in the roster, would still deliver. Just like the match against King Tani. I fucking love that match. They were the main two members of Funky Express, and now Aki and Yone just feel like a bunch of jobbers. They're also less entertaining. I believe they need like a third member who's not serious, like Akitoshi Saito, who Tani can work with, and at least have it someone like booked strongly, so they can win a couple of matches and not be jobbers. Because if you look at the entire Noah roster, this faction doesn't fit. They would fit more with New Japan or like DDT or something. So yeah, why even have this faction if you're not gonna go like full entertainment with them? If you're just gonna like take one of their key members. So yeah, but this match was well structured. I like every time Big Man lands on canvas, and that finisher was really cool. It's called a Musu, and it's like a modified spinebuster. I like how Big Man make other Big Man hit floor hard. And yeah, that's the only spot of the match. Again, this is like a TV undercard level of match. This isn't pay-per-view quality. That's 3 straight now for a show that includes the championship match reward for the winner of the N1. But yeah, after this, match number 4 is Congo with my boy Tadasuke, Hiroki, and Hajime Ohara versus the Luchadors with Ninja Mac, Alejandro, and Extreme Tiger. Okay, so the Noah Juniors can fly as well as any of the best in the industry, and I think this match should have been placed before the third one, since we had like just 2 straight meh matches. At least have something exciting to like put in there, or like have this open or something. But yeah, this is the typical high-flying cruiserweight. And note that I said cruiserweight, because it's very fast, it's very flippy. It's not like the juniors matches that we'll get later. It's more of like a Western-inspired luchador show stealer, but pretty tame as not to overshadow the rest of the card. It does a good job in that department. So yeah, the babyface team, the Luchadors, pretty much dominate the entire match. I can't remember a part where Congo did anything special. Like, aside from their usual, like, triple T move, where they, like, elbow drop and then do a pose, I don't really remember them doing anything significant or hurting anyone higher than a young lion. They, like, slowed Extreme Tiger and Ninja Mac a bit, but nothing really significant. They beat the shit out of Alejandro, but who doesn't? And yeah, the match was real fun, even if it's like this. The heels don't really need to do a lot. They don't need to assert their dominance in every match, like we get later. They can just be punching bags for the good guys. But the problem with Congo being the punching bags for the good guys in this match is because of what happens later on in the show. And I'm gonna talk about that after this match, without spoiling the results of the championship match in the second half. But yeah, Ninja Mac is the most featured member of the team. He does all of his like high spots, his iconic spots. He does a lot of flips. He's a fucking ninja. And I know that a lot of people don't like this dude because people are just boring. They believe that majority of fans, as well as like casual fans especially, like watching slow fucking plodding matches that lead to nowhere in the end and have mostly punching. They think they'll notice like all of the little things that happen, but really, they like the high-flying spots. They like seeing something they don't usually see in any other thing. They want to see real people do crazy shit. Or they like to see drama, storylines, which I'm sad to say isn't really that prevalent in Japanese wrestling. And it's more of a cultural thing. But that's the sort of thing that WWE is really good at. So they have something to fall back on when their matches aren't that good. And that was like years ago. Now they have bangers there, weekly. But here in Noah, all we have is the wrestling. And I know like the matches in Noah are like equivalent to Seven Samurai, fucking the French New Wave, Italian neorealism, or like anything in the Criterion Channel. It's like art. The matches in Noah are like art. Or at least the main event matches are. But does the general public like art? Do they appreciate French New Wave, Italian neorealism, or fucking Kurosawa movies? No, they don't. They like fucking candy. Like the MCU. And that's exactly what Ninja Mac is. He is the flippiest guy I've ever seen to wrestle. And he does it very well, and it fits his character because he's a fucking ninja. So I don't get all of the negative comments in Cage Match. This guy is a junior heavyweight who's getting a push in a company that specializes in serious, hard-hitting, catch-and-shoot style wrestling. The man is doing something right. And that's why he was featured in this match and is responsible for like all of the spots of the match. Such a long segue just to defend Ninja Mac. But yeah, like I said, Ninja Mac was the most featured, Alejandro is the whipping boy, and Extreme Tiger is moderately featured, but he does his stuff. Just not all his stuff. But he ends up looking strong after the match, while the heel team gets their asses kicked. I'm just gonna say, spot of the match is like the multiple flip outside dive, as well as like Ninja Mac's moonsault to a supine opponent. But what I want to talk about here is the ending, because it's actually cool. It's nice. I mean, AEW should adopt this rule that removing someone's mask, or like a luchador's mask, should end in a DQ, and here it did. But the problem is, the heel team with Tadasuke and Hiroki end up challenging the winners of the juniors match later. And that doesn't make sense because they lost this one match. If anything, Alejandro, the dude who like was awarded the win, should have like had a championship match with Extreme Tiger for the titles. This booking doesn't make sense. And yeah, why not just have Ninja Mac pin someone? Since he ends up challenging the winner of like the juniors heavyweight championship match anyway. So yeah, bad booking decision here, but I like the ending. Tadasuke and Hiroki should be like nowhere near those titles after basically losing to Alejandro. Yeah, again, why not just have Ninja Mac pin someone, just like when Kondo got the title shot? When he pinned Harada, like one of the top junior heavyweights in the division, who's not in this show. I just don't understand. This is like so dumb. But the match was fun, and it's like a TV undercard match, but a lot higher than the rest. It's still not pay-per-view quality if you're gonna have a match this one-sided. So yeah, after this is a 6-man tag team match between the teams of... So first team is Naomichi Marufuji, Dr. Wagner's grandchild, and Jack Morris versus Masato Tanaka, Masaaki Mochizuki, and Daiki Inaba. And thankfully, this is the first match in the card that belongs in a pay-per-view. This match was well structured, it was well paced. They kept a moderate pace, and then people were tagged in more than once. There were multi-man moves. They did combinations, but not much. It still felt like multiple 1v1s. So yeah, first Naomichi Marufuji. I think he just came here to collect a paycheck. He's only there at the start. He does his stuff and then he leaves. But what he does is acceptable. And as for Mochizuki, he's pretty mobile for like an older worker. I could see him challenging for titles, but not winning them. He's just okay. And as for Wagner, he's like
Coast to coast.
the most low-key, unintentionally funny wrestlers I've watched like recently, because he does a lot of funny things like the head turn, the eye pokes. For this match, he did chops and then he counted them loudly in Spanish. The dude can also wrestle, but he wasn't the main feature of the match, so he didn't go 100%. As for Tanaka, he's like ever timeless. The man still has it. He takes and dishes out moves still really well for his age. And he's also like still mobile. Inaba was the whipping boy at the start, but he ends up getting some offense off, specifically to Jack Morris. He does a nice octopus and some other stuff, but I don't remember. I just remember him getting beaten up at the start, doing some things, and then getting pinned in the end. But yeah, the star of this match is Jack Morris. The man has a build. He has like world champion written all over him, like future world champion. He's very athletic and he looks like he can dish as well as take damage. And what I mean by that is he can have a good moveset. All of his stuff looks very good. And he can also sell and like do more complicated sells. Or like a little bit more exaggerated sells. This guy can definitely flip for like a lariat. And he looks like he would fit in any major promotion in America. This guy can go to the WWE. He's young, he has the look, but hopefully he goes somewhere else or becomes a big star in Japan. So yeah, the finish of the match is a shooting star press by Morris. Pins Inaba 1-2-3 for the win. So yeah, for spots of the match, number 2 is Wagner's chops. R. Wagner's chops, where he like counts them in Spanish. And then the number 1 spot is the finish. It's like a simple shooting star press ends the match. Jack Morris does it well, and he's like the only heavyweight that does it. Or that does it so far. I haven't watched the main event yet, so what if Keno does it? So yeah, really fun match. This is the only one that's pay-per-view quality so far. Nice to see Jack Morris be awesome. So yeah, TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard match. Okay, so time to get to the second half of the show. This is where all of the title matches happen. And we start with the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships between the current champions, Stinger, with the team of Yoshinari Ogawa and Chris Ridgway, against former Stinger member Saiki Yoshioka and Atsushi Kotoge. And just a side note, I hate when Wrestle Universe is late at uploading the match lists in their site. It's annoying, like especially after the show. The match lists aren't here, and that just doesn't make sense. Like, how hard is it to do? Okay, so back to the match. Again, this is really slow, but there's no wasted motion. They start with a lot of technical wrestling. It's like chain wrestling, some wristwatches. Like, Kotoge does a prolonged wristwatch that he doesn't let go of even after his opponents like move around a bit. This match is already 5 stars. And Stinger do a really bang up job at like limiting Yoshioka. But I hope this is the last time, because it's getting old. Like, we had the conclusion to that story in this match at the end. So now it's time for like high speed Yoshioka matches. So yeah, Kotoge feels like a job guy at the start, but isn't portrayed like one. Like, he gets some good offense off, and he was actually like very essential to the team. He wasn't just buried like how Nakajima slapped him. There's a lot of one-upsmanship with all of the members of the like both teams. And I think for the guy being limited, Yoshioka, it's not very smart since you know their game plan. You've faced these guys before. Just like go high speed so they can't catch you. Take them off their game or something. Like, absolutely just flash everywhere and kick their ass. But yeah, he plays into the one-upsmanship and he gets caught. He has his leg worked on. And they also work on like Kotoge's arm, but this doesn't play into the ending. It's mostly, you know what, it's majority Saiki Yoshioka's leg. So most of this match was him selling and selling very well. He sells on offense and he sells consistently. And he manages to project his pain really well. Yoshioka's a generational performer, and I think having matches like this like limit what he can do. Like, just imagine what he can do against someone else in another company like New Japan, against someone like Will Ospreay or something, or in like any of the American promotions. Imagine against Pac, against Ricochet, against any of Triple H's old NXT guys, or against Kenny Omega. That's going to be insane. Yoshioka is always the superior performer except for when he's against Harada. And yeah, the story of the match is Stinger go for his leg. So these two dudes here are like very technical, of course. It's Ridgeway and Ogawa. I like Ogawa's varied and like unique arsenal of like submission moves. He does like this reverse single leg crab as well as an Indian deathlock, which is always awesome. And it plays out the same way that it does back when Yoshioka and Susumu went for the titles. But there's actually a finish to the match. I also like that Kotoge does a lot more than Susumu did. Like Susumu, you would expect him to be more mobile, to be more high-flying with his size. The man is shorter and like smaller than Saiki Yoshioka, while Kotoge can do what he does because of his size. He's also quick for his size. So the best part of the match is when they do the figure 4 leg lock spot again. This is the spot that I always mention in all of my videos, where the tension is just like so high, even if the move is not very dynamic. It's just a figure 4 leg lock, but Yoshioka sells the shit out of it, commentary sells the shit out of it, and like there's the struggle there. So they have the spot, and then I was waiting for fucking Peros to attack, but thankfully they didn't. And then Yoshioka reached the ropes, rope break, and this is the point where I fucking knew, that Yoshioka and Kotoge were gonna win. They had to at this point. I love the storyline progression, the callback, and like the feeling that our hero, Saiki Yoshioka, finally triumphed over the guys who were holding him and Susumu down in Stinger. And man, they work on his leg, and I think his selling was better in this match. Like, I thought his leg was about to get torn off. The man sold this like a champ. And so the finish is Ogawa goes for a figure 4 leg lock. Yoshioka kicks him with his good leg, and then like very gingerly, while selling the leg, he sets up for a buzzsaw kick. He sells and then he pins the guy and then wins the match. I fucking felt every second of the match, every time they worked on his leg, and that finish was just mwah. Fucking great match, pay-per-view undercard only. So for spots of the match, number 3 is Kotoge's slap fight. Number 2 is the figure 4 leg lock spot where Yoshioka gets a rope break. High tension, intense moment, and it's just a submission hold. We need more of this in wrestling, especially in tag wrestling. And then as for the number 1 spot, it's the finish. I love that it calls back to the figure 4 leg lock, it's countered, and then Yoshioka sells his fucking leg as he goes for his finisher. So yeah, they are the new champions, Kotoge and Yoshioka, but before they get the belts, oh my god, Hiroki and Tadasuke, undeserving contenders, attack them, they bloody Kotoge, and then yeah, this wasn't that good. I mean, it wasn't a good decision, but if like they actually won the match earlier, this would have worked. But now it just doesn't make sense. They should win like all of their matches before their championship match to make this make sense. They have to beat like Harada or something, or Susumu, or like Ogawa and Ridgeway. That's how you get this to work. But as of now, yeah, not really. Or like at least beat the team of Extreme Tiger and Alejandro, because those guys are more worthy contenders than the Congo Juniors. So yeah. So after this is the GHC Heavyweight Tag Team Championships with Hideki Suzuki and Timothy Thatcher, the current champions, against Satoshi Kojima and Takashi Sugiura. And these guys have a good match. It's certainly better than anything else on the show except the Junior Heavyweight Championship match. That was like next level. But the problem here is that the teams don't feel like teams. They feel like just singles wrestlers. Like Dupree and Dr. Wagner Jr. are a team. They're there to be a tag team. Elgin and Kitamiya were a tag team. And they had like better matches than a lot of the tag team wrestling that I watch from all companies. They had bangers whenever Elgin was there. But now it just doesn't quite feel like it. Kojima and Sugiura feel like they're a team more than Suzuki and Thatcher. because they have like an adorable friendship. And this match is actually interesting since the former tag champs are now across the ring from each other. And apparently Taka and Satoshi have cute nicknames, and Suzuki's just okay with this. Like, fight for your faction. What's going on here? Satoshi Kojima is an interloper and he should be destroyed. As like members of Suguragun. And yeah, the story of the match is really interesting. Kojima also does a really good job at like supporting his teammates from outside. He pumps them up just like when he had his match with Kitamiya. So that really boosted the match up at the end. And as for the other performers, Suzuki bogs down the match as usual, or like he tries to. But he's unsuccessful at doing so because his opponents are booked a lot stronger. This is Sugiura and frickin' Satoshi Kojima we're talking about here. This isn't like Nakajima who's smaller than him. So the match becomes a lot more hard-hitting. It becomes a Sugiura and a Satoshi Kojima match instead of a Suzuki match. And Suzuki does okay, like I said. Not the best performer though. As for Thatcher, he's like, as usual, like the scrappy dude. He's very entertaining to watch as he does his submissions, like even if they're static. Just the facial expressions that he makes, it's like he's selling the move and not the other guy. He's selling how good his move is. And I like how they went for Kojima's arm, his lariat arm. But this doesn't continue on in the end since Kojima does a lariat. And this felt more like a tag team match than the previous one. And that was a juniors match, so I was kind of surprised. These guys did some tag team maneuvers, as well as like some miscommunication stuff, so good job on that. But it doesn't reach the level of drama that the last match had. And even the ending, where the champs get the challengers in like double submissions, but then Kojima takes Timothy Thatcher out, and then he saves his teammate. He then delivers a brain buster and his finisher to like weaken Kojima. And then, for good measure, Sugiura does the Olympic Slam for the win. Great tag team match. This was the best one of the show so far. And it's not a better match than the last one, than the juniors match, but it feels more like they're actually teams. Because like the last one is more of like a Saiki Yoshioka show. And him going 1v1 with like two other guys. So yeah, this match is good in its own way, and it's the second best match of the night so far. It gets like a TV main event pay-per-view undercard match. And as for spots of the match, number 2 is the suplex battle between Sugiura and Suzuki. That Suzuki wins and then gets like a 2.99 near fall. And for the spot of the match, it's the finish. We get some teamwork, we get Kojima saving Sugiura and then like tearing Suzuki apart with lariats and like a brain buster. And also, if you like think Suzuki should be protected, the man ate a brain buster and 2 finishers. So yeah, he's pretty well protected. And so yeah, there was also like a storyline going on here. Like aside from the former tag team champions facing off against each other, we have Sugiura not really respecting Kojima at the start. He doesn't do the full handshake, but then at the end, he shakes his hand. So yeah, feel-good story. And this is where Kojima should be, instead of the world title picture. So yeah, no one shows up to challenge them, and they just leave. So yeah, let's move on to the next match. Next is Hayata versus Yohei for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. And I've learned something about Hayata, and after watching Ogawa, Hayata is going to be like a future Ogawa figure. He's going to be a staple in the junior division for like a long time. He's going to have these long reigns and will take over Ogawa's spot, since he kind of wrestles like him too, but faster and like more modern. Okay, so in this match, as it's going on, commentary explains the history between Hayata and Yohei, that they were former members of like the Honey Badgers. They like flipped a stinger, and then there were so many turns that thankfully I think Noah has moved on from that time and is better for it. And they talk about it while these two like lock up. They don't play to Yohei's strengths, which is like a fast cruiserweight style match. They wrestle more of a Hayata pace. And I don't have a problem with slow as long as it's done right. Just like with the junior tag match. And here, just like that one, there's no wasted motion. We have like a wrist lock by Hayata, and then he like keeps working on Yohei's left arm, and then Yohei like sells this, and it plays to the end. And the way he sells this is that his arm always goes back tucked in. It's very consistent, and I like it, even if it was slow. But yeah, he still manages to do his stuff, and like is a lot less limited than Yoshioka, since his legs don't get hurt. So we still get drop salts, we still get dives, and a variety of other moves. We get like a count out spot where it takes to the count of 19 for like Yohei to get back from the ring. This is after he goes for like this Meteora that Hayata catches, and then he powerbombs him. He's like sit down powerbombs him on the floor. There's also like a super kick party here. They each super kick each other until Yohei wins out, and all of the old fans as well as like conservative fans stop watching when this happened. They did so many slow but like awesome looking spots, including the ones already mentioned, but I'm gonna add like the 3 top spots of the match. I'm just gonna state it now. So number 3 is the diving Meteora. Number 2 is the Meteor that's countered into a sit-out powerbomb, and the number 1 is the finish. You know what? Scratch that. I'm gonna change up the Meteor counter with the finish, because something bad happens during the finish. Because Hayata sets him up for like this straight jacket DDT, Yohei gets out of it. He does a drop kick, and then I love the detail here, like because Yohei does a drop salt. Yeah, drop salt. It's like the thing that Paul London does. So he does a drop salt to Hayata, who has his hands up. And it's not just him protecting himself from the move, because you know, like it actually hurts in real life. But it's actually like part of the match where he like defends himself in order to like immediately follow up with like his finisher, like which is like a headache. It's like a hurricane run into like a kneeling opponent. But what brings this ending down is that the headache had like no impact at all. It had like no sound. It's like that Tony Storm versus Penelope Ford finish. That was a bad match, but this one's good. So I can overlook this poorly delivered finisher, or like poorly sold. This is the 3rd best match of the night so far, and it gets a grade of like TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard match. And so we get a challenger. Ninja Mac challenges Hayata, and hopefully he drops it. I think it's time. It's time to bring speed to the junior division. Or at least give it to Harada or something. So yeah, after this is the Keiji Muto farewell match. He's on his retirement tour. He went to America on like Thursday for us, and then went back to Japan for a show on Sunday. So yeah, hardworking Keiji Muto. It's his last year, so why the fuck not? And so for this one, he teams up with Kazuyuki Fujita, who I have to say looks better and like can be taken more seriously, with the 5 o'clock shadow, as well as like his like colorful wrestling gear with the doublets. For me, this works a lot more, and it might get me to appreciate him even more than I actually already did in the last show that he was in. The one with Go Shizaki as his teammate. He was really good there. And they're facing off against Matsukazu Funaki and Katsuhiko Nakajima. So I had a pretty good idea who was gonna get pinned in this match. Of course it's Nakajima, this is Pro Wrestling Noah, but by now I've learned to like appreciate Matsukazu Funaki. He's like legit one of the best performers in this company. I like his old gimmick. And I understand why he wasn't the guy pinned in this match, because he's like a champion or something. Yeah, not or something. He is a champion. Muto could have lost, but yeah, really, Muto could have lost the match. Or Fujita. But with what happened later on, I can understand why they didn't have Fujita get pinned. And then as for Nakajima, he still fucked up the other guy's like main champion not so long ago. And he doesn't have a championship, he doesn't have a feud. But what I don't like is he's never gonna get this win back. He ain't beating Keiji Muto. So yeah, I'm conflicted with the result. But I can understand how it's okay. So yeah, for the match itself, of course, Masakazu Funaki, shoot style, destroys Muto. I mean, he doesn't take him out, but he manages to like negate him. He takes him out of the match. This leads to them tagging out, and then we have Nakajima and Fujita wrestle. And I like how they wrestle like at a pretty moderate pace. It isn't slow as fuck like the previous matches. Like the previous match, there's no wasted motion. Their hands are always up to something. And this makes for a very interesting first half of the match. And then we get our first top spot of the match. And it's Nakajima going for hard slaps on Fujita. What a chin this guy has, as Fujita has him in like a leg lock. And he no-sells every slap. And I like that when like Keiji Muto and Masakazu Funaki get tagged back in, we get tag team spots. And the Congo team works very well. It's like their father and son. Nakajima and Funaki do this like double leg lock on Muto. And Muto is like so much of an underdog. He's not a shooter. He's like a wrestler completely. And he just gets negated out of the match when with Funaki. And they work on his Shining Wizard leg. And this goes on for a long time. By the 10th minute, or at least I think it's like been 10 minutes or more, all the drama is there. They've been working on his leg for a long time. It feels like Saiki Yoshioka. But Muto's sells are a lot like more reserved. They're a lot less pronounced because yeah, he's like getting up there in age. He gets one dragon screw and that's it. And then Fujita and Funaki are like portrayed in the same level. I'm so scared for the winner of the heavyweight championship. Fujita's probably gonna beat him. And he's gonna have like his long reign that he was promised by wrong guy or something. So yeah, after some stuff happens, we get a double like figure 4 leg lock spot in the middle of the ring. You could have ended the match here, but I would understand if you don't. This was perfect. Fujita and Muto did the 2 sweets that Muto does. And really, you could have ended the match here. Just have Nakajima feint to protect him. But instead, we get something better. When, after this, like, Muto hits Nakajima with like a Shining Wizard to the corner. He sets him up for an actual Shining Wizard. And then, like, when Muto delivers it, again, this is a nice detail here in Noah. When your hands are up, you're actually defending from a finisher. And so he does this, he defends from the finisher, and then he buzzsaw kicks this 60-year-old man right in the fucking dome. And then the finish was real fun. Because like after Nakajima dominates a bit, he gets dragon screwed. Like a legit Congo dominates. They like beat the shit out of Fujita with a bunch of kicks. But then Nakajima gets dragon screwed. Fujita German suplexes Funaki, who like Muto didn't really make a dent in. He made him look really strong. Only Fujita could hurt him. And then this sets up Nakajima for the picture-perfect Shining Wizard. This is like the best Shining Wizard that I've seen Muto do like in like the duration that I watch Noah. And so he wins the match 1-2-3. I like that he just doesn't lose every match in his like farewell tour, because that would be a bummer, like every match. So I'm glad to see him like mix it up, have wins, have losses, and that he goes out not depressingly. But he's probably gonna lose at the Tokyo Dome. And yeah, as for the top 3 spots of the match, number 3 is the slaps, by Nakajima to Fujita, while Fujita's doing the leg lock. Number 2 is the finish. It's the best Shining Wizard I've seen from Keiji Muto in this like duration that I've been watching Noah. And then the number 1 spot of the match is the double figure 4 leg lock, where like they did Muto's hand signs. Like the double 2 sweets that he does. And this would have been perfect. It would have been a nice visual to end the match on. But you had to get that Shining Wizard, and I can't blame them. It was a nice Shining Wizard. So yeah, this is the second best match of the night so far. I still enjoyed the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships because of the story, as well as the selling. While this one just overshadows the Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. I like that Muto couldn't do anything against Funaki, and that like it was a rock paper scissors game. So yeah, great match. I'm gonna give it a score of pay-per-view undercard only. And then finally, for the main event, we have the GHC Heavyweight Championship between Kaito Kiyomiya and he is the leader of Congo. He is the most versatile wrestler in this entire company, and it's not even close. He has like a questionable hairstyle that only he can rock. That would look shit on anyone else, but I mean that in a good way. And he is the current GHC Heavyweight Champion. He is Keno. So yeah, Keno has overtaken Go Shiozaki as my favorite wrestler in Noah because the guy can just do everything. He has a better moveset, it's more varied. It's not as hard-hitting as Nakajima or Shiozaki, but he's just more entertaining to watch. And I also think he's a lot more charismatic. He sung to his own entrance. That's like the coolest thing that could happen. Okay, so after I did that intro, I mean the intro at the start of the review, or just like if you watch this match, you would know who won this already. And I have a problem with the winner, not because I think he's not deserving. It's because the last three GHC heavyweight champions that we've had have had zero defenses. They've had like 30 plus day reigns, with Keno having the longest so far with 71, but they never defended the title successfully even once. And that's just like disrespect to your champions. Keno should have at least defended it once. Shiozaki should have defended it successfully at least once. Kojima maybe have him as like a transitional champion, but having three like in succession, how the fuck does that work? Go Shiozaki's historic reign was cut short, and he had zero defenses. And even Keno's big push, it leads to nothing right now. I like Kaito Kiyomiya. He's like the feature of Noah. He's a great wrestler. Maybe number 2 in the company, or number 3, or 4. But Keno's the man. He's the best guy they have right now. And it's fucking criminal that his reign is not longer. But yeah, so this is what I watched the show for. This was my most anticipated match. I fucking reviewed this for this match because it has Keno in it and the future of Pro Wrestling Noah, who is Kaito Kiyomiya, of course. And this did not disappoint. Okay, so we had a fast-paced match. They managed to maintain a fast-paced even while doing the lockups, the little working of limbs that they had. This match actually felt like an American main event. It felt like a Kenny Omega match. But it's also a bit Keiji Muto masturbatory. It's like sprinkled all over this. But there is good cause because Kaito is like Keiji Muto's disciple. He's his Padawan. And this plays into the story, which I liked. For the first 4 minutes, we get a fast-paced introduction, like the lockups, like I said. And for the next 4 minutes, we get a lot of dives, as well as like high-speed moves. That is very uncharacteristic of Noah. Keno does this like leg capture toe hold. He like rolls Kaito's leg, gets him in a toe hold. This looks really nice, but it's not a spot in the match. And then there is like a spot in the match here, like number 3. It's like an outside dive that Kaito does, where he just does like a moonsault and then goes over the ropes without support. It's kind of like what Okada does when he jumps through the guardrail. But here it's going outside and it's a bit too dangerous, like why not just hold on to the rope? Very nice looking spot, but a bit unnecessarily dangerous, so yeah. I like the match structure. I like the entire match structure because as like matches should, they start with like lighter moves. They move on to like more dangerous ones, but like a lot faster, but also like light. And then by the 15th minute, they go for the bombs. And I didn't really sense this that much for the rest of the show. It's only in this one that it's most apparent. You should intersperse those between other matches, not just like the main event. All of the juniors matches felt like heavyweight matches, and this one felt like a juniors match. Or at least relatively, since heavyweights these days can do this stuff. But yeah, let's get back to the match. By the 15th minute, bombs start to drop. And then after a couple of more minutes, the bombs are all they do. We get the part of the match with all of like the near falls, the pseudo finishers, the Keiji Muto tribute moments. We also had like some spoilers to these, like when Keno catches him in a Dojime choke. Kiyomiya turns this into a pin and then they like separate. Crowd gets into the match. And then they do an Omega versus Okada spot. But it's a lot more impressive if the dude you're doing this to is like as tall as Okada. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see it here as well. Keno hits it on Kaito, it's followed by a double foot stomp, and then kick out. And then after this, we also have like a moment where, if done in America, or like anywhere else, this would be the time where the crowd would start chanting, "This is awesome." Because Keno goes for his moonsault double knees, he misses this. Kiyomiya answers back with like a shining wizard to a standing Keno. Usually an opponent is supposed to be like kneeling for like someone to do a shining wizard, so this was very impressive. And then they both end up on the floor, and then as I said, this is the moment that the people would chant, "This is awesome." And I like that the strike battle here is done very sparingly. We only get like one notable one at the end. Like there are some minor ones, but this one is like the most prolonged one. It's like kicks from Keno and uppercuts from Kiyomiya. Keno is clearly the superior striker, but he bookends this with a Nakajima slap spot that knocks Kiyomiya out. And then we have the match become messy on purpose. It projects that they're tired. Kiyomiya goes for like running knees. He hits one, Keno blocks the second, and then Keno kicks him in the head for the third, and then Keno just kicks him in the head again. This sets up for the double foot stomp, and something like a spot that I usually don't like happens. It's when Keno does the double foot stomp. He like lands on his feet and then takes a Frankensteiner from Kiyomiya. And if it's not the double foot stomp, like this spot would not work. But thankfully it is. If this was like a flying lariat, a fucking shooting star press, or like a frog splash, this would not work at all. So Keno is down, so Kaito sets him up for the Shining Wizard. He hits him, but he's not yet satisfied. He yells a lot. He sets him up for another Shining Wizard, but this time he does a Muto pose, like for the tribute, and then he does a Shining Wizard where he catches Keno's head in midair. It's like a skull crusher Shining Wizard. And for me, I mean, it works. I like the mid-air adjustment to an already impressive move, but they just have to make it look more impactful. So he does this, it ends the match, Kaito wins 1, 2, 3, and he's the new champion. And I don't like this fucking result. Keno should have defended the title successfully at least once. He's had a 71-day reign and then he drops it in his first defense. Why even have the title? And I think the root of the problem stems from the structure of like the G1 climax, the N1 victory, and it's that the champion is in the fucking tournament. I think you should like say hell with tradition because the champion like doesn't usually win the tournament. He's just there to lose to the guy who he's gonna face next. It's like to pick his next challengers. So I think you should just have a big show at the end of the tournament and have the finals match co-main a championship match. It would draw more, it would be more important. It could even be a pay-per-view, like a big show. And yeah, it's a lot more forgivable for New Japan to do it because the championship match happens at the Tokyo Dome. The winner of the tournament has to defend it against like all comers. It's not safe. There is like some tension there, even if usually the winner never loses it. But at least have that threat, have him participate in feuds and storylines and stuff. But here, it happens right after the tournament, and I find that really dumb. I don't know if it's like this. I think I should ask the Noah Reddit about their opinion of this. Because it's just less exciting like this. Yeah, the fucking tournament's done. Now what? Your G1 climax is done for the year. And I don't see a knockout tournament here. So what's gonna drive all of the storylines? What's gonna drive all of the feuds aside from just people challenging each other? After like the main event match. Just like what happens here with fucking Fujita. Who has completely won me over, by the way. But yeah, I don't understand this structure that Noah has. You could have even had Keno defend against someone else, have him like hold it until some point, and then have that match happen there. Build the feud with Kiyomiya up even more. Have Kiyomiya go up against all of Congo. How the fuck is this hard? They do this in America and in New Japan all the time. So yeah, I'm very disappointed with the booking. I'm also disappointed with the Noah structure. So yeah, let's move on to the top spots of the match. So number 3 is the outside dive that looked really good but was a bit unnecessary. He could have just used the ropes, but it looked really good all the same. Number 2 is the missed double knee moonsault that's countered into a shining wizard to a standing Keno by Kaito Kiyomiya. And then for the number 1 spot of the match, it is the Avalanche Dragon Suplex. Shades of Omega and Okada. Really well done here by these two. So yeah, Keno crawls out of the arena. Like, this is very funny. Keno, out of shame, crawls out of the arena. He didn't even have like one successful defense. So yeah, he crawls out. Kiyomiya tries to like start with his post-match promo. But then Kazuyuki Fujita walks in like he owns the place, drinking beer and wearing a sick-looking shirt that I would buy, even if it's white. And then it looks like he's going to challenge Kaito, but he hugs him. Yeah, and of course, this is going to be a challenge, but he hugs Kaito, and then he acts like a fucking drunkard. This got so weird that it won me over. Kazuyuki Fujita, after making fun of him so many times, he's now my dude. What a 180 by this guy. From 0 personality shooter to now maybe like 90 personality, 90 charisma. This works so well. And I'm gonna watch him win the title, am I? But now I'm a lot more okay with it, as long as this is gonna be his character. And as long as he keeps the 5 o'clock shadow and like the colorful gear. So there's a huge chance that Fujita might win. And it shouldn't happen. Kaito needs to hold this title until their biggest show. Is it Great Voyage or something? Yeah. For me, Fujita should not win the title, but I'll be okay if he does now. But yeah, if like he doesn't win the title, he should be going after Masakatsu Funaki. Since the dude has his number and then he can like hold that national championship as long as he fucking wants. Just not the heavyweight title. Because the juniors matches are already like slow and plodding. And I would like at least one title to be fast-paced, athletic, as well as hard-hitting at the same time. So yeah. And so that ends the show. Kiyomiya does his promo. He thanks the crowd and then he leaves. So yeah, this show... Oh my god, this show. I'm gonna flash my match rankings first. So I watched this alongside Who's Gonna Top. I'm gonna make a review of that show also. It's by DDT. And I think their last 2 matches are a lot better than the last 2 matches of this show. Like, that Konosuke Takeshita versus Kazusada Higuchi match is equivalent to like the last 3 matches of this show. It's insane. That felt more like a Noah match than any of the matches in this show. I was floored by that one. Those dudes sold everything, they were hard-hitting, and they went at a fast pace as well. But the rest of the card there was pretty weak. That show was very top-heavy. And for this show, I liked the one with Marufuji. From the last 6-man tag team match all the way to the end. It was like consistently good, but it doesn't reach the peaks of Higuchi versus Takeshita. I think the main event here just like scrapes past the Ueno versus Carl Lanois match. And then the 5 matches before this goes under that one, but over the other DDT matches. So yeah, I'm gonna add a rankings for the Noah matches separately and interspersed with the DDT ones. I'm also gonna make like a list of all the matches this week, including AEW. So yeah, check that one out when it comes out. Go watch the Takeshita versus Higuchi match. Don't let your prejudices against DDT stop you from watching good wrestling. Because of Cornet, or you're just like a traditionalist or something, just watch it. It's as traditional as it gets. And you know what? They have Kenta Kobashi there, as well as Jun Akiyama. They probably helped that match feel more Noah than this show. So yeah, go watch that match. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you do not know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos, and please, watch my shit.